A 3-hour epic story of a man just trying to get home.
Or just Christopher Nolan laughing to the bank.
Let's talk.
Welcome back, everybody, to NJ Hot Takes. I am Andre.
And I am still Joe.
Still Joe.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about the Odyssey.
The Odyssey. Let's talk about Homer.
Yeah, so did you read this?
I did not.
You've never read the whole Iliad?
No, so I never, I do love mythology, but it's something that I never did read. However, I do know about it a bit.
Okay. So I kind of said that wrong, because I believe the Odyssey is the tale of Odysseus from his homeland through the Trojan War, through everything else and whatever. And then the Iliad is just about the Trojan War itself.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I actually had a 7th grade English teacher, and he said this was a must read for anyone on planet Earth. So yes, I read it once in 7th grade. I remember a lot of it, but I couldn't tell you like the order in which things happen. I couldn't really quote things, but enough to have seen some of the previous movies and be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
But keep in mind, we do reviews of movie trailers, not history books.
If you were to believe that this is a history book, it's just a tale as old as time.
Oh, we can get copyrighted for that.
Haha, yeah.
Stay away, Disney.
Yeah. So that kind of takes us back into the hot takes that we want to talk about, in the sense that there's a lot of controversy surrounding this film. One of the biggest ones where it's not historically accurate to some of the events that happened at the time, most notably the armor that they show the soldiers wearing. I've seen the historically accurate armor, and it looks like a bunch of dudes wearing, costume dildos holding spears.
Yeah, and that doesn't sell, man.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna do a movie, you want that shiny armor. You want it to look cool. So, do I really care if it's accurate for the time? No. When you have a movie that there's a Cyclops that's gonna eat me alive, I'm really not wondering, is this helmet accurate? Like, would that withhold a bite from a Cyclops? No, I'm not thinking about that.
Right. Among other things, also the casting of Lupita N from Us, and other great films out there.
She was in Black Panther.
Yes. She's been casted as, I believe, Helen of Troy, which in the story is described as a beauty, the fair maiden, the pale skin that launched the War of 1,000 Ships or whatever. And of course, Lupita's not pale or fair-skinned.
Are you being racist right now?
I'm not being racist. I'm just mentioning what people are crying out about. I find her to be a great actress and pretty hot. So, and why couldn't she be a beauty back then? I would suspect in a world full of fair-skinned people, this Nubian goddess that comes over is like, oh man, yeah, I want to be with her. Also, the person playing Homer is, I believe playing Homer is Travis Scott, the rapper.
Yep.
Which, I don't know if Christopher Nolan is making fun of the haters, but he says like he might be rapping part of the beginning of the film.
Oh, I hope not.
Which I don't think so. I think he's going to be singing it as what these storytellers did back then. I don't think he's going to be rapping, but I think it was more of a rage bait for some of the haters out there. And then the cherry on the whole thing is
cherry on top.
Yes, Elliot Page cast as Achilles, which was previously played by Brad Pitt, who did a phenomenal job, I must say.
Job.
Yes. So, who is Elliot Page? Elliot Page is a Hollywood actor, better known as Ellen Page. Yep. She was female, transgendered actor, now actress turned actor. Went the whole way.
We're in June.
Yeah.
It's Pride Month.
It is Pride Month. I do applaud. I mean, to still be in the acting game and not be ashamed of the previous roles he did, and now taking on a role in an epic like this, I'm all for it, because he is playing a demigod, and based on what I know of some of these demigods, there was nothing really special about them except that they inherited some sort of power from their godfathers or godmothers. In this case, if you're nearly indestructible, you don't have to be entirely buff or whatever. You just need to have the skills to kill somebody because you're impervious to harm.
Well, also keep in mind, if you look at all the paintings back then, a lot of the men, they weren't necessarily buff. They were lean and cut as hell, but they weren't buff.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. Like, if Elliot Page looks lean, I'm good with that. Now, I will tell you, when I saw Elliot Page, I was like, I didn't know he was still acting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so, I remember Elliot Page when, Ellen Page, yeah, Ellen, when, she was doing that. But after the transition, I know he did a couple things, but then after that, it went pretty quiet. So I was surprised to see him here.
Well, based on the little research I did, there was some backlashes in his life. So he had to take some time off in order to deal with that, work on himself mentally and physically, and then was ready to just jump back in the game. And again, if he is able to audition and get this role, then there's got to be something that Elliot bringing to this role that Christopher Nolan saw and said, yes.
So I'm going to take back what I just said, where I said I was surprised to see him in this movie. And I just remembered, this is Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
And Christopher Nolan is kind of known for reusing actors. Elliot Page, Ellen Page.
Inception.
Yeah, she was in Inception, so it does make sense to see Elliot Page in the Odyssey.
Right. And it's weird because she kind of took a backseat role back as Ellen Page towards the big cast where you had Leo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy. I mean, she was just the person that was creating the mazescape of the dreams within Inception. But I think now as Ellen Page and being up front and center as one of these main characters, especially in the... one of my other hot takes is this is a 3-hour film. 3-hour film where the Trojan War is only a part of Odysseus' whole story. I believe out of this 3-hour film, probably 40 minutes of that is just going to be the Trojan War. And out of those 40 minutes, we'll probably see Elliot Page as Achilles for maybe 15 minutes.
So that does bring it into some of my hot takes. Okay. So you did mention Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy. Mm-hmm. So these are actors from the Batman or Dark Knight. So
Christopher Nolan.
It is Christopher Nolan. So my only concern, and yes, I do know that, mythology, we're going to have all these creatures from myth, but he is known for grounding stuff. So my only concern is this movie is going to be grounded and more focused on the human aspect and not so much in the mythology aspect of it. So there is a lot of mythological creatures that are supposed to show up in the Odyssey. Do you think we're going to get a very limited amount of this and just focus more on the people themselves, the journey that they're going through, and those are going to be kind of sprinkled around the story?
I think it being grounded is what's going to be sprinkled throughout the story. This story as a whole does not work if you don't include the gods. So since you haven't read it, the cusp of it is that the reason it takes Odysseus like 20 years to get back home when he was only supposed to be gone for like 2 is that the gods are fucking with him. He denounced the gods. He actually destroys one of the statues of a goddess during the Trojan War, which they actually show in the trailer. And at that point, they're all like, all right, well, this guy chose his battle and he chose his stance with us, and now we're going to make it almost near impossible for him to get home.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but you could also say the same about Batman, where a lot of his villains were superpowered, and you don't see none of that in the actual movie.
Right. But
like Bane is supposed to have the...
Yeah, he turns into the Hulk.
Basically,
in a way, yeah. And instead you get a druggie.
Yeah, so like he grounds those characters to the point where they're not really their comic book characters. So are we gonna see, obviously not the same exact thing,
right?
You can't take a god and turn him just into a human, but are you gonna see more human stuff than supernatural myth kind of?
You see, I think that we already got that with the Troy movie that Brad Pitt's a part of.
Yeah.
Because in that one, there was hardly any talk of the gods' interference, nor were there any mythical creatures or whatever. They still kept Achilles being killed by an arrow to the foot, which is his weak spot.
Yeah, but that was more of a homage or a nod to that. They really didn't have any, gods or mythological creatures. Like Athena is supposed to show up in the battle between Achilles and Hector.
Right. So I think this will be Christopher Nolan's first venture into the fantasy, because in the trailer I've already seen the ocean opening up to swallow his ships. They've alluded to the Cyclops, and he's able to pick up the soldiers with one hand in order to chomp on them. They've shown the giant knights. What I'm thinking is the story is an exaggeration of what he actually saw, but what he actually saw has some of the facts that are being retold. Yeah, maybe the Cyclops isn't 50 feet tall, but it's tall enough in order to kill a man with his bare hands. These giant knights aren't 15 feet tall, but they're still 10 feet tall and deadly as hell. I'm more interested in what they haven't shown. There's a part of the book where he's trapped on an island for like 3 or 4 years under the spell of this mage who turns his men into animals. And he doesn't know it, but he's living off of this land and living off the animals, and he's literally killing his men and eating them because they got turned into deer and rabbit and foxes and stuff, and that's what he's surviving on. So I'm wondering if that's going to be still in the movie, if all the other aspects of mythical creatures and gods at war will be in this story. And if it is, then good. I will accept the 3-hour runtime. But if it's more grounded, like you say, then I don't know. Jason Bourne better act his heart out, because after 2.5 hours, I might be asleep in the chair.
So another of my hot takes is you just mentioned Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
So Matt Damon. We have Zendaya, Elliot Page, Tom Holland is there.
Spider-Man and Punisher.
Yeah, so it is a very big cast.
Twilight himself, Robert Pattinson.
Yes, Twilight himself is there. Hopefully he's not Sparkle.
John Leguizamo was in it as well, from John Wick.
Yes. So, I don't know about you, but a lot of the movies that are very star heavy tend to be bad movies. I don't know why it has been that way. You can even search movies that have big name actors in them, and you look at the ratings on them, and they're all really bad.
Well, I'd say for every 3 bad movies, there's probably 1 good movie that stands out amongst them. The Ocean's 11 series had a big cast, and it works.
Yes.
The Avengers has a big cast, and Doomsday is going to have a huge cast, and I believe that's going to work. But yeah, there's other movies where they get these $1 million actors together, and they're too busy fighting for the limelight that they don't really bounce off of each other as they should.
So that being said, what do you think this movie is going to end up being? Do you think it'll flop, or do you think it's actually going to be a good one? It being Christopher Nolan is going to drive people to go and see it, but I think with the state of how things are nowadays, based on the controversies I said in the beginning, it's going to drive some people to not even give it a chance. So I think it may struggle in the beginning, but eventually as the word of mouth gets around, people will start to go and see it. Okay. I can see that.
Almost like a reverse Dune, where it started off strong and then it kind of just petered out.
Yeah. I could see that a bit. Hopefully it does end up a good movie. It's mythology. I love mythology.
Yeah.
I even watched Clash of the Titans, which I know wasn't...
Well, which one? The original from the
Both.
60s? Okay.
Both.
The
Yeah.
one from the 60s, it's dated, but it's a great movie.
It is.
The remake
Yeah.
sucks.
It does suck. However, it's still mythology, and it still has a place in my heart. I watch it every once in a while just because of that.
The one I want to see is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Yeah. The Disney show, because I did watch the movies and they were a bit weird, but I hear the Disney Plus show is actually a lot better and closer to the books.
That one, I think it falls into those special, even though it's still mythology, I do not like. I watched it the first time and never watched it again.
Well, at least with this movie, I know you're saying it's a big cast and who knows if they're going to really play off each other. As you mentioned, it's Christopher Nolan and he reuses a lot of the same people.
Yes.
And some of these people have worked together on our stuff. As a matter of fact, Tom Holland and John Bernthal are going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out.
And Zendaya.
And Zendaya are all going to be in the same movie together in Spider-Man. So they already know how to play off each other. Anne Hathaway and Jason Bourne, I don't know if they've been together in a movie, but I
don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but I think they could pull it off, especially since they're going to be away from each other for a majority of the film. Robert Pattinson, I got to say, he was great in Tenet. That was the first time I actually saw him outside of his, I'd say the shadow of Twilight that's been following him, and actually was like, all right, this guy could possibly be a decent actor. I know there's another award-winning film he's been in. I can't remember the name and I haven't seen it, but I definitely want to go and check this out. So, we're both agreeing here?
Yeah. I do want to see this. I loved watching like all those different environments. I think I mentioned this in one of our past episodes, where I do like watching the cinematography of the movies. So this one caught my eye right away, and Christopher Nolan does an amazing job. He loves working with IMAX. Obviously, this movie is going to be actually filmed specifically for IMAX.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say watch it in IMAX. Like,
definitely.
This has been made for IMAX, so watch it in IMAX. So, NJ Hot Takes?
Watch.
Definitely a watch. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining. This has been A&J Hot Takes.
Yep, stay tuned for the next one.
See ya.